It's a new month, and so that means that we're going to decide which one of these books I'm going to be reading by spinning this. It's time to play Fiction Roulette. So as always, I'm going to let the wheel decide what I'm going to read and review in the month of May. The wheel is filled with things that I'm always excited to read. Actually, this is my favorite video that I get to make every month because I get to find out what I'm going to be reading along with you. So I'm always really pumped and really excited to see what's coming up. I spin the wheel 4 times each month. I usually read more than 4 books, but this is just a way that, you know, it allows me to know these are 4 books that I'm definitely going to read, and then whatever else I read during that month is a bonus. And then on top of that, I'll also let you know what the channel's book club has chosen for us to read all together for the PBJ book club in the month of May. I'll also let you know how you can join in on that read along if you're interested. But first of all, let's get started and talk about what's on the wheel for the month of May. The first book that I'd love to read for May is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. So this is a book that a lot of you have recommended to me, just based on, I think, my taste in books. I always see it popping up in the comments section. Have you read East of Eden? I bet you'd love East of Eden. You should pick up East of Eden. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go. I've only ever read one John Steinbeck novel before, and that was Of Mice and Men. And it is admittedly one of my all-time favorite books. So I don't know why I haven't picked up another Steinbeck novel since then. Yeah, it's silly, really. This book is about 2 families. I believe it is the Trasks and the Hamiltons. They're living in California, and there's just this massive rivalry between them. And the story spans multiple generations and covers decades, just making it like a real, true family saga. As I've mentioned a few times now on this channel, I'm all about characters, and East of Eden is apparently just got layers and layers of character depth for the reader to explore. I want to get stuck into it. Steinbeck actually considered this to be his magnum opus. He wrote it for his sons so that they could understand their own family heritage. And the story draws parallels to the biblical tale of Cain and Abel, with one character that's being loved and approved of, while the other character carries a kind of like mysterious inner darkness. And it's almost like a retelling of that explores how the absence of love and approval and affection can lead to destructive behavior. I always see this book mentioned in people's best books of all time, and so yeah, it's always popping up in people's top 10 lists. So I don't know if I read it, could it make it onto my top 10 list of all time? Potentially, yeah. Another book that is always on the wheel and it just never lands on this book. I think this is maybe the 7th time that this book has been on the wheel. It's Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. Yeah, it's back. We're trying again. So this is about a young, nameless character known as the Kid, who's drifting through this violent and chaotic American West in the mid-1800s, and he joins up with a group of Native American hunters that's led by this sort of crazed, intimidating, dark figure named Judge Holden. And this book is known for its brutal and graphic depiction of violence as the gang kind of moves through the desert, and it's just leaving a trail of blood and devastation and destruction behind them. The story, I think, is really examining darkness, the darkness of like human nature, and the idea that violence is just an inherent part of being human. Again, I've read only one book by Cormac McCarthy, and this is, I guess, becoming a pattern. It was The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and that is one of my favorite books of all time also. So we've got Of Mice and Men and The Road, by John Steinbeck and Cormac McCarthy. And then I just read those books, loved them, and then didn't read any further. I don't know why I did that. I'm just coming to the realization right now. But maybe we can remedy that this month. Maybe I pick up East of Eden and The Road. Who knows? It's not The Road, Blood Meridian. Yeah, this could be. It's got to come up. My idea is this: if I keep putting it on the putting it on the wheel, eventually it has to come up. So it's on the wheel again. This could be the month. We'll see. The next book I don't have a physical copy of. It's Pines by Blake Crouch. This is the story of a Secret Service agent. His name is Ethan Burke, who arrives in this small American town named Wayward Pines in Idaho. And he's there to investigate the disappearance of two other agents that arrived there shortly before him. But then after he arrives, he's involved in a car accident and he wakes up in a hospital without any identification. And when he wakes up, he finds out that there's something strange going on in Wayward Pines. It's surrounded by an electrical fence. Everybody there seems to be under constant surveillance. Nobody seems to believe him when he tells them who he is or why he's there. It's very mysterious, very frustrating. It just sounds like the kind of mystery that I would love. It's got a gripping plot, atmospheric setting. I enjoy Blake Crouch quite a lot. I really, really enjoyed Recursion. I liked Dark Matter, less so, but I did like it. And this just sounds like it may have a sci-fi element to it, but with a lot more mystery. Pines is the first book in a trilogy as well, so if I like it, there's going to be a lot more to delve into, which is always a good thing. The next book on the wheel is The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. So this is a mystical, historical mystery novel which is set in 1873 that follows Lena Wicks, who is this young woman that travels to Paris. She wants to find out who murdered her sister, and so she decides that what she's going to do is go and meet with this famous spiritualist named, and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this name, Vaudeline de l'Air. Vaudeline de l'Air. Very French, so French, too French. Vaudeline is known for contacting the spirits of murdered victims and asking them who did it, who committed the crime, and sort of solving mysteries in that way. And it's just as Lena meets the spiritualist that Vaudeline is summoned to London to conduct a seance for this high-profile murder case. And Lena accompanies her, and together they sort of become entangled in this big conspiracy. I think what I'm mostly interested in when it comes to this book is, again, that atmospheric setting of London and Paris in the 1800s. I quite like mysteries, but I also like the idea of that added layer of mysticism. And apparently the author incorporates a lot of real historical elements as well, which is always fun. The next book is one that I only have on Kindle, and that's Spiderlight by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So Tchaikovsky is mostly known for his science fiction, I think, but I'm on the hunt for some standalone fantasy at the moment, and Spiderlight is a title that I've heard a few people recommend. It's about a group of adventurers on a quest to defeat a Dark Lord, which I've got to be honest with you, usually I would hear the term Dark Lord and that will be an immediate turn off for me. I don't like that kind of cliche. I don't like a chosen one. I don't like a farm boy on an adventure. I really don't like the idea of a Dark Lord. However, apparently, this book comes from a place that is quite self-aware of the tropes within classic fantasy. There's meant to be a bit of humor behind it. I've heard it said that it feels almost like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You've got like a priestess, a rogue, a warrior, a mage. They're all going together on a quest with their special abilities that they're bringing to the table. So yeah, I think that this one is just going to be a nice, light, like palate cleanser with some fun dialogue and a subversion of some fantasy tropes where it kind of like deconstructs traditional fantasy elements and gives them like a fresh take. It's not a very long book either. I think it's just under 300 pages. And so I think it's just going to be refreshing to read a standalone fantasy that's not very long without sacrificing any of those classic elements. Another book I'd love to read in May is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So this is a gothic mystery romance about a young woman who is working as a maid when one day she receives a proposal of marriage from a widower, and she eagerly accepts it. But when she arrives at her new home with her new fiance, which is like this massive country estate, she realizes that her new life might not be quite as idyllic as she first thought it would be. And the presence of her fiance's late wife seems like it's still lingering in the house and haunting them. The book was written in 1938 and just has this massive reputation, really influential in a lot of Gothic literature that came after it. And it's one that I've wanted to read for a long time. Alfred Hitchcock made a movie inspired by this book, which I haven't seen. So that'll be good, I think, sort of going into it cold. I don't know a great deal about it beyond just the basic premise, but I'll definitely watch the Hitchcock movie after I've read this. I've tried to avoid a lot of the reviews of this book. I just want, like I say, I just want to go into it pretty cold. And I know that it's featured on a lot of people's favorite books of all time. There's a lot of books on the wheel this month that are featured on people's favorite books of all time. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that May is going to be a great reading month. Another book I'd love to read is, and look how beautiful the cover is, by the way. That is one of my favorite covers that is on my bookshelf. I just think it's beautiful. It's pretty fat as well. So this book is by Eiji Yoshikawa. It's Musashi. And this is a historical novel that tells the story of Miyamoto Musashi, who was a real-life Japanese swordsman. And this book follows Musashi's transformation from this crazy, wild young kid into a disciplined, experienced, and wise samurai. After barely surviving a battle, he embarks on a journey across Japan to master the art of swordsmanship and understand the true meaning of what it is to be a warrior. One thing that I've been told about this book is that there's like this really strong focus on becoming the best at what you do, becoming the best at your craft. And it's a novel that explores themes of self-improvement and honor and the pursuit of absolute perfection. I really love it when I read about characters who are good at what they do, or when I watch a movie where someone is just, I don't know, it's just really satisfying, I think. It scratches an itch when I see someone who is absolutely just meticulous and wants to be the best at what they do. They want to get it exactly perfect. A lot of people compare this book to Shogun. I really enjoyed Shogun. I read it last year. And so, you know, I'd love to read this one as well. Beautiful cover. Beautiful. Another book that I'd love to read in May is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Did you know I like Joe Abercrombie? I don't know if I've mentioned it before. So The Devils is an upcoming epic fantasy novel, and it's set in an alternate version of medieval Europe. The story follows Brother Diaz, who is a monk that gets unexpectedly assigned to lead a group known as the Devils. I've heard Joe Abercrombie describe this book as a fantasy version of Suicide Squad. It's just about a band of misfits, including a thief, a cursed knight, a pirate, a necromancer, a geriatric vampire, a few other characters. And it's all about their mission to escort a former beggar across Europe in an attempt to claim the throne of Troy and unite the church against an impending apocalypse. At the end of the day, if Joe Abercrombie writes it, I'm going to read it. and I just got done reading The Age of Madness. Absolutely loved that entire trilogy, the whole series that's set in the universe of the First Law. This book, The Devils, comes out this month. And so, you know, I'm going to pick it up, obviously. If I don't read it this month, then no doubt I'll read it next month. So that's what's on the wheel. And then we've actually got 2 black spots here. And for these black spots, I'm going to continue reading Robin Hobb. So the next book I think is The Assassin's Quest. So yeah, if it lands on one of those, I will read The Assassin's Quest. Just before I spin the wheel, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon members for supporting the channel. So a big thank you to the cult members. A massive thank you to the named men, and an extra special thank you to the quartet. Normally I give a compliment to a random member of the quartet. What I'm going to do is change it up a little bit, and I'm going to do that in the monthly and weekly updates. And so all other videos, I'm just going to thank you all and just let you know that you're really appreciated, all of you. So thanks so much for supporting the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel and find out what perks you can get from supporting the channel, then you can click on the link in the description box below. Anyway, let's crack on and spin the wheel and choose these 4 books. Oh, and then afterwards, as I say, I will reveal what the PBJ Book Club decided that we would all be reading together. So, all right, let's give it a little spin. Rebecca. All right, so I always forget to mention that we go by this thing here, this little, this dongle bit. We don't go by the arrow, we go by this. And so as you see, it sort of landed like that. And that's the reason, because it sort of like splits it, right? So you have to make a decision and we're going to go by this thing. And so Rebecca is the first book that I'm going to be reading in the month of May. Couldn't be happier, quite frankly. All right, let's spin again. East of Eden. Oh man, look how close it was to Blood Meridian. Is Blood Meridian going to escape again? All right, East of Eden. Over the moon. Over the moon. It doesn't really matter what it lands on. I'm going to be happy. Do you know what I mean? So, all right, East of Eden. That's great stuff. All right, 2 more. Ooh. All right, here we go. Spiderlights. All right, so we got a sort of D&D campaign, light-hearted fantasy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Man, Blood Meridian's going to escape again. I know it. All right, here we go. It's like the 7th time it's been on the wheel as well. All right, here we go. Yes. Blood Meridian. All right, great. So Blood Meridian. Yes. Blood Meridian. I'm reading ya. I'm reading ya. I got ya. You tried to escape my clutches, but I got ya, boy. All right, great. So I'm finally going to meet the infamous Judge Holden, apparently one of literature's scariest characters. I can't wait to read this thing. I'm a little bit intimidated by it, by the prose and the writing style that some people seem to struggle with. But listen, at some point in your life, you just got to pick up Blood Meridian and read it. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah. Oh, by the way, what a month. What did we get? East of Eden, Rebecca, Spiderlight, and Blood Meridian. There's a very real chance that I'm going to discover a new favorite book, or like a top 10 of all time book this month. Man. All right. Anyway, so it's time for you to, it's time not for you to do anything. You just sit back and relax. It's time for me to reveal to you, the audience, what you had selected for the monthly read along for the PBJ Book Club for May. And that book is, and I'm really excited about this one, My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Oh, mate, a good month just got even better. So this is a horror novel that's set in the 1980s. It's about two best friends in high school, Abby and Gretchen, and they have been best friends since they were very young. But one day, Gretchen starts acting a bit differently. She gets a bit moody, a little bit irritable, and there are just some strange eerie events that take place. And that's when Abby starts to suspect that maybe her friend has been possessed by a demon. Really excited to read this with the group. I think that one of the things that I'm most excited for is that like 1980s setting. I'm expecting a kind of like a Stranger Things vibe. And as someone that was born in the mid 1980s, that's just really fun for me. I haven't read very much Grady Hendrix. Honestly, he's such a massive name in the horror genre. I feel like I need to read a bit more Hendrix. And so, yeah, if you're excited about this read along, maybe you would like to participate and join in the book club. It's not too late. We've got the dates that we're going to be reading this book. So if you want to take a look at these right now, this is when we're going to be discussing the chapters in the book. I'm going to put a link again to the Patreon down below so that you can sign up if you're interested. And this is also the perfect time to vote on what the book club will be reading in the month of June too. So you can see all of the options there. I think there's some really good ones. Here's a big question though. Do you think, looking at these books here, that you're going to be able to guess what I'm going to rate each one of these books? You can give it a go on the Discord, and if your guesses are the most accurate, then you will win an Amazon voucher. I don't know, maybe you'll buy yourself a book with it. We've got a lot of fun and games on there, so if you wanted to join in, the link's in the description as well, along with all the other links, it's just really link heavy down there. If you're interested in seeing what I read last month and what I thought of those books, then you can click up here to see that video. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And as always, happy reading.